What's that?
They hide in the warmth.
Yeah.
That's the way it is in our neighborhood.
I might go there.
We're coming in.
That sounds just to get rid of darn you 10 years old.
Yeah, you should have.
So I said, well, I'm gonna take it.
Nick, coordinate that.
All right.
We should pull my hair.
I didn't get the demo.
Just that memo.
Keep Harold calm.
That's a full-time job.
Three squares and a roof over.
And then you can have him turn his phone off. That just reminds you.
No howling tonight, huh?
Good enough to eat?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
David, Carl, and Matt, and Kathy went over to senior tonight.
Oh, nice, those are good times.
Yeah, it was very yummy food as always. Good stuff.
Are you just saying that because you know you're gonna get old someday, or?
I'm saying that because it was 3.
Yeah, that's a good answer too. Well, like a 3 fathers, 6 girls.
There.
Your food bill will go up.
What's that?
Your food bill's over here. No.
Well, they have a field trip every Thursday. Last week they went to Belgium.
Yeah.
This Thursday they're going to Stockholm.
Where will
And then next Thursday they're going to tour the NO Navy facility in Boulder. The National Oceanic Atmosphere. They get out.
Pretty diverse. Yeah.
First Thursday is a month ago, Black Friday.
Okay, so this field will have to be. Yeah.
Come on in. Have a seat anyway. Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, two of them. Yeah, general part of the evening is what we know.
So I'll call the order of the meeting of January 21st, 2020. Can I have a moment of silence for all those serving inside and outside our borders, please? All right, will you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we have roll call, please, Mary?
Mayor Adrian Sandoval,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem Larry Clark,
Here.
Harold Leggett,
Here.
Nick Ralston,
Here.
Spencer Bradnan,
Here.
Troy Blum,
Here.
Holt Morris.
Here. All right, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda, please.
Motion is for the agenda.
Is that presumed? Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. First, we have audience participation. Anybody? Okay. Alright, moving on to approval of the consent agenda, which includes the minutes for January 7th of the 2020 regular meeting, the December financials, and the December paid bills.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Action items, fence height request. A, Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. In front of the board tonight is a request from Jeff and Rebecca Thayer, who are present tonight. And I'm gonna ask Jeff if you'd like to say a few words about your request, if you'd like. Mr. Thayer, just to summarize, has purchased the corner lot there at Main and Pierce that was tore down. And he's working on that project. Lot lines have been adjusted a little bit, we're doing this administratively. But on his existing property at 312 Pierce, Mr. Thayer is requesting a height variance along the alley. For the code, someone with a $25 fence for making him build up to a 6 foot privacy fence in the side and rear yard. Anything over 6 foot for the code requires board approval. And I mentioned in my board report that a few years ago, the board did just that on another request, as a dog was jumping over a 6 foot privacy fence over in Rogers Farm. In your packet, you have the letter request from Mr. Thayer, and you have essentially a site plan of the property showing along the alleyway where the extended fence up to 7 foot would be. And then on the side yard, it shows a typical 6 foot tall privacy fence. Mr. Thayer also included some good pictures of what the fence material would be constructed of, and also some pictures of what a similar fence looks, or a similar fence that his fence will look like, just taller. I've looked at this. Typically, the town does not allow livestock fence or chicken fence, but if they do so in such a manner where they decorate it with wood posts and wood top, a lot of larger communities and larger subdivisions do that. Just not T-posts and chicken wire that we're trying to get away from. This is definitely not that. So at this time, I've pretty much summarized the request. I don't have a big concern with it. Per the code, it's up to the board. If it fits the community, fits the character, and you feel it's justified, that's your decision, but I would recommend so. Mr. Thayer, would you like to step forward, please?
Would you like to come to the podium?
And your wife, don't leave her out.
Forgive me here for not knowing the protocol here, but I'll learn as I go. I've got some additional pictures that I took just to at least show some of the things that I'm trying to do with the fence, and that is to mask off a business that is right behind me in the alley. And the intent is to put this open grid type fence in front of some existing vines that are there. They're torn down now for the winter, but they will grow up and fill in. It's the way it was before, only the fence was 48 inches and a chain link that was falling down and not secure. So my intent is to build something that they can fill in again for cosmetics and security also, for that matter. But if you will entertain me, and I'm not sure what I need to do with this, if there's a bailiff that I need to give this to, or I do have a few pictures, just
So whatever you're comfortable telling the board, Jeff, is fine.
I have more copies. I don't know if there were much of this was spread out or not, but I do have some copies if any more are needed.
We did distribute to the board what you gave me.
Did you?
Yes.
Okay. I could have saved a ream of paper.
So Jeff, is this just gonna go on the backside of your property?
It is.
The 7
It's,
foot?
yeah, there's two areas of the fence permit that I've applied for. One is a standard 6 foot picket fence that'll run, hopefully, with the approval of the lot line adjustment, to go from the alley to Pierce Avenue. And then this is the area that runs parallel in the alley to block off the fabrication shop that is back there. And I don't have any issues with the fabrication shop. I actually do fabrication myself, but I am trying to mask it off a little bit, especially if there's guests that I have at my house, entertainment. I said I had pictures, at least I thought I did.
And the picture of the hog fence you have is gonna be similar to this design as well?
That
Just
actually
taller?
is a fence that I built
Okay.
16 years ago, and it's held up pretty well. But it, the intent is, those panels that you see there are 50 inches tall. I wanna go and add, they come in a 50-inch panel height and a 34-inch panel height. I wanna put the 34 on top of the 50, in a matching grid pattern, and then, put the framework like you see, to mask it off, to give it the cosmetics.
And then are you running alongside Main Street too as well, or just
No,
okay,
no, this is just gonna be down the alley.
the alley on the north
And
side?
this is gonna be the pictures here. I don't know if I should start on this here, I don't have a lot, but let me just pass that down and around. That's looking toward the alley from the lot that I've purchased. And I wanna mask off the shop area. There's a lot of garbage trucks that are welded and worked on. That's the intent.
Is that Graves building your shop here?
That is mine. Yeah. That, I think, was the first Platteville project that I had when I moved to town.
I'm trying to get him not to build anymore, so we don't have to keep bugging you. He's like, no, I need just one more project.
You just haven't seen.
If you wasn't in your shop, you'd be bugging you in the house though, now
That's
wouldn't
my
you?
doghouse. That's my doghouse.
Any other questions for the chairs?
I don't know if that made it all the way around or not. I did have another set here, just down through the other whole board.
We're good.
Okay.
We're good, thank you.
I move to approve Jeff and Rebecca Thayer's fence height request as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
It's almost painless, isn't it?
What's that?
It's almost painless.
That was almost famous. I was afraid to bring up that I am a 49ers fan before the vote.
See, that would have made a difference.
That's why I didn't say anything.
That's not a non-voting member.
I'm not a voting member, but Jeff did come in with a
Okay, I almost could have come in my corners here too. Thank you, appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you.
Looks nice.
I still have to sign the permit to it.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, moving on to the public hearing. So at this moment, I will recess the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees and convene the public hearing for the liquor license authority. Mary or Mr. Lincoln?
I'm going to defer to the town clerk treasurer if she handles these.
The first public hearing this evening is, for Tijuana's. If you guys would like to step to the podium. This business is currently operating under a transfer license, which allows them to stay in business, while they obtain a liquor license in their name following a sale of the property, of the business, not the property, from the previous owner. These folks have worked very hard to put this together in a short amount of time, as they were not really notified of the need to obtain a license under their name. During the sale, it was kind of conveyed that the license was in effect and had just been renewed, and therefore that was something they didn't have to worry about, and we kind of pieced that together as they came in to fulfill the other requirements for business, getting their license, their business license, sales tax, that kind of thing, and started asking questions. They've done an amazing job putting this together as quickly as they have. I have done the inspection of the premises, and everything is in order, nothing has changed, there's been no major remodeling. So it, in effect, is the same location as before, we just need to transfer, and get a new license under the new owner's names.
Any other questions? Do you guys have any questions?
Pues, es la llamada para ti,
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Hinojosa, to your left, is the new owner. Vanessa will operate as the store manager, and your her dad, also is an employee at the restaurant as well, so they're all kind of tag teaming on this to keep this business rolling.
Everyone loves TOI. All right, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve, move to approve issue of a hotel restaurant license transferred for Tijuana's Mexican Restaurant, 602 Main Street, Francisco Javier. Okay, thank you. Owner, subject to receipt of a clear background check for the owner and manager.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, opposed? Okay. And you guys are good? Good to go?
Congratulations, thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
You're welcome.
I'll notify you when the license comes in from the state.
Okay,
I have no idea how long that will take.
okay, would you like us to take this, please?
You can stay or you can go, I know you have a business to
If you
take care of too.
Okay, yeah, we'll go ahead and,
Okay.
just 'cause we have this over
I
there.
know,
Okay.
thanks so much for coming and.
Yeah, of course, thank you guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Good luck.
Good night. Thanks.
Okay, next before the liquor licensing authority, we have, Naomi for booze and brushes. Mary, Mr.
I defer to Mary and Naomi.
This hearing is for a special event permit. The second such event that they have hosted at the library. The original application date had to be pushed back due to a scheduling, conflict, so the date of the event will actually be February 1st. Again, the first event that they hosted was very successful, and there were no complaints or concerns from that event, so we don't anticipate that there will be any for this one as well.
The only changes, from last time's event is we increased the number of students. So I think our first time was 6, and now it's 10. And I'll probably have to ask her to increase it the next time I come before you. I actually have more people on the wait list for the next time than I have spots. So, it's so far becoming very successful. Last year we paid for our, instructor through, a silent auction through, I believe it's the Kersey School District. We're just paying her directly now as an independent contractor. And we are also charging $15 per person, and that should cover the alcohol, and that way taxpayers are not paying for alcohol.
Okay. Any more questions? All right, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve an issuance of a special event permit for booze and brushes at the Platteville Public Library on February 1st, 2020 as presented.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Congratulations.
Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you. All right, so we will end the public hearing of the liquor license authority and reconvene with the Board of Trustees at 7:15. Moving on. Resolution 2020-03, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Platteville, Colorado, submitting ballot questions to the town's electors to the April 7, 2020, regular municipal election. Mr. Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, the board has discussed this topic for the last couple of months, in discussion only, at the last meeting with the town attorney. So Ken Incorporated Town Attorney drafted the resolution, just one, that covers the 4 ballot questions that are being proposed tonight. I'm not gonna read these verbatim, but to summarize, the first question, and this is, I'm not saying these in order, they'll be posted for legal guidelines. Typically, Tabor issue will be first, and then it'll be the general questions. So the first one on the resolution is whether or not the town of Platteville should allow marijuana stores as far as, medical, yes or no. It's asking the citizens to vote on that. The second question is similar, but it's about retail marijuana, allowing establishment in Platteville, yes or no. And real quickly on these two, as I discussed with the board, if these get approved, then the board will have the authority to decide how many such establishments and what zone district they will be in. So that is yet to be decided if this is approved. Thirdly, and related, is a sales tax question on both retail and medical marijuana. And ask the voters to approve an additional 5% on top of our regular sales tax rate, effective January 1 of 2021, so not for another year. And then, which would increase 1% a year up to a maximum of 10%. So that is a 5 to 10% sales tax increase on only medical and retail marijuana. And if the board doesn't adopt the sales of either one, obviously this is a moot point. Lastly, the board discussed an additional 1% sales tax to establish a economic development improvements in recreational amenities fund. 10 years ago, the board put forth a similar resolution during a coordinated election in November 2009. The voters approved that for 1% to establish a capital improvement fund, in which hundreds of thousands and literally millions have been spent on capital projects for the last 10 years. So this will be earmarked funding, not be used for operations, wages, buying cop cars, or public works trucks, solely for economic development related issues, park amenities. And downtown, that's part of the economic development. So, and if that gets approved, then the board will, when that fund is established, just like the capital improvement fund, will have to have a clear definition. And I think we should work on a draft for the election, so when people ask what this money is going to be spent on, you can give an answer. Okay. But those are the 4 ballot questions proposed for the April 7, 2020 municipal election.
Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question, more a point of clarification. On the questions regarding the marijuana, both recreational and medical, if those ballot issues pass, you stated that the board would be able to determine the number and locations. I understand that. Is it also not true that the board is not obligated to grant such business licenses in town?
True. Literally, in theory, I mean, not theory, but in reality, even though the citizens approve both of those, the board still has the authority not to adopt an ordinance.
On the same token, if they don't approve them, the board still has the authority to say yes.
Exactly, it goes both ways, but from my understanding on the board's discussion months ago is they wanted the people's voice to be heard, so they want their input. And when it first was legalized back in first medical, then recreational, starting in 2013, we did an informal survey, and that was a decision by the board. From that response, there was over 80% that didn't want it at that time. This is a more formal approach, so.
I just want to enter that in the record.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, but that was only 80% of how many people actually,
A little over 100 responses, that's about it.
2,500 people, so.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
it's-
really.
Well, people had a chance to vote and voice their opinion.
Oh, I
vote, so.
yeah, I understand.
And that's one thing Mary and I kind of discussed is preparing for the election. Typically, we have to, Mary has to prepare for that, the election judges, order the ballots, how many, because it's a cost. And will this kind of question increase that turnout or not? That's a guessing game, but we did increase the number of ballots for this election.
Yeah, well, the mail-in ballot simply increased the responses too. Interesting. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Mayor, do you have a number of registered voters we have in that?
Just under 1,800.
Okay.
And we usually have about 250 vote.
Yeah.
So
$296 installation.
Yeah, on average, yeah.
And Larry, just so you know, the marijuana licensing portion is handled much like the liquor license that you just heard today. There'd be a public hearing. You'd have the ability to review the application, see the background of the applicant, and base your decision on that.
I was just,
It's not just
Thank
a
you.
blanket acceptance of anyone who wants to apply.
right, I think the point that I was trying to make was that if the voters approve these issues, the board isn't compelled to grant any licenses.
The first person through the door isn't a shoo-in
Right.
for a retail outlet.
Right, and I just say that for the edification of the board and the public, that doesn't ensure that there are going to be any establishments. Okay.
We do get calls very often though.
Yeah.
We do.
Every year.
People are looking.
Oh.
To open, to buy.
Yes.
Everything.
To grow.
Most of it's
Again,
growing
lots of
operations and, retail shops. Recently, I had one on hemp, which is not a banned substance per code, it's not considered marijuana. But those have to be in an industrial zone district, which is hard to find in Platteville. So, I had to turn one away when, I can't remember what the church's name on Salisbury sold a few months ago. And the gentleman at the tortilla factory bought it. But somebody wanted to buy that and put it in a distribution. I said, no, you can't do it. So.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion, please.
I move to approve resolution 2020-03, a resolution of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Platteville, Colorado, submitting ballot questions to the town electors at the April 7th, 2020 regular municipal election as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Intergovernmental agreement for the granting of natural gas vehicles to Town of Platteville as substituted pass-through congestion mitigation air quality fund. I can read.
It's a mouthful.
Mr. Rankin.
That's why I call it CMAC.
Yes.
Over the years, the town has been fortunate to acquire, up to 9 vehicles under this program. And what CMAC is, it's funding to help buy dual fuel vehicles, which can run off gasoline or natural gas. And we have used both over the years. We kind of market what the prices are and availability, because we don't have a station here in Platteville for natural gas. Elizabeth Relford, Deputy Director of Will County Transportation, sent the IGA on behalf of the county commissioners. I went a couple weeks ago to the pre-bid meeting. There's about 20 vehicles that are on this project that are being funded. Half of those are going to Will County. The other half are Southeast Wells Fire, Kersey, Gilchrist for a public works truck, and so on. And then I wish I would have known this. Will County was applying for and they're getting a street sweeper that is CNG operated. I had no idea you get a street sweeper. But now this.
So we need one?
We need a better one.
That's what I mean.
But this is the last opportunity for us because the Federal Highway Administration no longer will sign off on the Buy America waivers, which is a requirement of this program. And because these various dealerships can't prove beyond a doubt that a certain percentage of those parts of the manufacturing are built in America, many are overseas. So with this IGA, there's 2 vehicles on the line. For the police department, our portion of the CMAC funding is $104,000. The grant has always required a cash match of 17.21%. Don't ask me why that percent. Our share, if it was $104,000, is $17,898. Will County will pay $86,102. And the way this works is Will County will, Thursday I go up for the bid opening to see what our 2 vehicles come in. I was talking to Chief about this. During the pre-bid, they mentioned it was a another quad cab pickup and an SUV like we have now. They no longer have SUVs starting in 2020 that can be retrofitted with CNG. So several dealerships asked if they had a new 2019, which still can be retrofitted, would be allowed, and I said yes. We did allow 19 new or 20 new for both vehicles. So I don't know how much that total amount will be, but regardless, we'll only pay 17.21% of the amount up to $104,000. If it goes above $104,000, then we have, I don't see it being, well, we pay the extra cost. But this is the last time that, it's really helped us update our fleet over the last 8 years. And, that's all I have at this point.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
And to fuel that, where would they have to go?
There's a North Station, there's a station in Firestone, Carl, I think Firestone has one. And then RE1 has a slow fill for the buses that they have. We really don't use it's more of a slow fill. But the North Station's closest.
I just know we had those at, when I was at Denver Water, and boy, the mileage is really shitty on CNG.
Well,
I used to get in trouble all the time because I'd have to go up in the mountains. And when before I even started to come back, I had to be switching on gas. I wanted to make it back.
There's always pros and cons to any kind of fuel source, and that's one of the cons is the mileage. Pros is it's cleaner. So you have to weigh everything, all the factors.
The good thing we don't have to travel the mountains.
Good point, man.
No, I know Will County is pursuing more filling stations along 85 and I-25 corridors, which would be helpful.
Isn't there one in Gilchrist as well?
Gilchrist has one at the bus barn at RE1.
It's just the bus?
Just the bus
place?
barn. Years ago, they tried to get one here, and they were looking at the, what I call the Shell, the Exxon gas station. But I believe there wasn't a large enough service line close enough to that property to provide that fueling station. So, I think they went on to Firestone at that time. Because we had one at the North Station, which is what, 8 miles away, 6 miles away.
So at the bus barn, that's not just strictly for buses that we fill them up there. That's-
Yeah,
Slow.
they'll let us use it, we oftentimes do, we go up there and use theirs.
Just put it on the tab.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? I entertain a motion, please.
I make a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement for transferring natural gas vehicles to Town of Platteville as substituted path through congestion mitigation air quality trial.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Mary.
Harold Leggett,
Aye.
Nick Ralston,
Aye.
Spencer Bradnan,
Aye.
Troy Blum,
Aye.
Larry Clark,
Aye.
Hope Morris.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. And the next meeting is for that, Troy, when you meet with the,
I go for the bid opening on Thursday this week. It's at 10 a.m. up at Will County in the West County Commissioners Open. It's a public meeting, so I'm gonna go see what ours will cost.
thank you.
It'll take probably 6 to 8 months of their 2020s, maybe a little lesser of the 19s, because they're already on the board, but they still have to be retrofitted for CNG. So I told Carl we'll be right away.
And then they have to go to the company with the light package and the police. Right?
Yeah.
And all that.
And the stickers and.
Exactly.
Okay, moving on to the agreement for services, surveillance system upgrades, tell us online, Mr. Rankin.
I'm going to defer to David on this one, since he works with TELUS more than I do.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. This is fairly straightforward. TELUS gave us a bid to provide the new hardware, provide the rewiring. There are a few newer cameras that were in and around Town Hall that actually have the correct Cat5 type wiring, but most of what is in Town Hall is the old coax type wiring that was run to the cameras. Excuse me. So We will be replacing all of the existing cameras and adding, I wanna say it was 4 additional. I think we had 2 external and then 2 more in the police department, just to give a little better coverage, that we will be updating. And right now, Town Hall, we've got less than half of the cameras here at Town Hall are functioning properly at this point. So, this is a very timely, this will put everything digitally, we'll be able to access them. Carl, myself, Troy, will have, full access, administrative type access where we can go in and, lock something down if there was some video of something going on that we needed to retain for longer than just the rollover, because normally what we get is somewhere between 60 and 90 days of rollover where these are motion activated cameras, so if there's motion, they start recording. I don't understand the technology 100%. They're actually recording all the time, but if there's no motion, then it just kind of blips that recording until there's motion, and then it goes back about a half second before the motion, and then it actually locks down and starts holding that recording. This bid includes all the cameras, includes the labor to run all the additional wiring or rewiring. They'll use the old wires to pull the new wires through, tie all this in. There is a good possibility by adding these cameras that we just found out this last week from Connecting Point that they had partitioned the big server that we have in the main server room. They had given us a portion of that to Telos for our camera access. As I'm finding, IT guys don't play very nice together sometimes, and basically the long and the short of it is Telos needs more room than Connecting Point can give them on that server. So at some point, we will be coming back and asking for our own individual server for the camera system to be on. But for the time being, everything is being hosted, everything's being recorded back to our server here at Town Hall. We currently have all of the cameras up and running at the community center and fitness room and the senior center. Those are all up and functioning, and I got Janet set up the other day, and I need to give her her password so she can get in and actually see that stuff. And then we've got the ones at the Veterans Memorial. So we can continue to expand this, but for the time being, this is just gonna take care of here at Town Hall and replace what's existing here, so.
Just to add to that, this is a budget item that the board approved in the 2020 budget. This and the keyless entry doors at the fitness center were kind of combined into one project, even though they're not related. And then David mentioned the cameras. Eventually, we do have some old cameras in some of our parks over at Riverview and Lincoln. We're going to need to update those. I do want to get some out of Sewer Lagoon at the gate, and then we're going to build a new gate on the north side, off 32.5, and monitoring those more securely would be, and we really should, because it's our primary service to our customers, wastewater. We don't want anything that would tamper with the wastewater system and get into the river, and then of course the water we purchase from Northern Water. But this is an expansion project. It will continue to grow. So my point is, we'll eventually want a standalone server just for our camera system, because it saves a lot of data, So.
Questions, comments, concerns?
So this surveillance system, it continuously records, but only captures like certain clips, like if this senses motion. Does it send it to the dispatch and then like say motion here, or how do you know like if somebody's moseying around the sewer leads and we don't want people out there? How do you know?
It's reactive.
Dispatch. Well, I mean, do you look at the next day, or is it dispatched to the police department so they go out there?
We would have to review it to see that was happening. Most of the time, or I shouldn't say most of the time, much of the time, this is used when, like Troy was saying, eventually we want to get them redone at the parks. If somebody tagged a piece of equipment at the park or something like that, okay, we know we need to go back. If there was an accident in the parking lot, we can go back and look at that footage.
we've used this multiple times over the years for different things.
It's not gonna set off an alarm and notify
No.
somebody.
No,
It's not
Because
gonna
it would do that
dispatch
if the
it
cat
or
walked
something like
under.
that.
At this point, no. I mean, and you were asking how long the clips are. I can tell you it takes 8 seconds for a semi from the time it comes into range at the Veterans Memorial to go by, because I got a ton of 8-second clips for every semi that drives past the cemetery, past the
8-second
Veterans
clips every
Memorial.
second, probably.
So,
Part of it is hooking this up, David, and he mentioned Janet can monitor, when she's in the building in her office, she can monitor the entire building from her office, so it does have a proactive function to it. And the same thing, we wanna have this, it used to be, I'm not sure anymore, but we need to get reestablished in the MDTs on the patrol vehicle camera or computers, where an officer at night can simply go through the cameras throughout all the parks and town hall and memorial,
So they
and be in
can-
one spot, but proactively visualize our public areas to see what's going on.
Okay.
and what we'll be able to do with the officers is versus the MDTs right now, we can put it onto anybody at town hall's phone, because everybody has a smartphone. The town provides those for the employees, so, the officer would be able to pull up. But in that situation, the officers will be given viewing rights, but not necessarily administration where they could edit. They can't go in and erase anything, they couldn't go in and save anything, but they could go in and look and see what's going on. Officer Weimeister, a few years ago, was looking at one and gave me a call and found an open door over at the community center at the ball fields. She was on the south end of town and happened to be looking at the cameras on the old system and had let us know and was like, is that supposed to be? So she went up, secured the door, and saved me a trip at 2 AM, you know, and so.
It provides potential if we have some known activity going on. David mentioned graffiti in the parks, which luckily we haven't had that lately, but an officer gives them a better span of viewing in one spot, because, I mean,
They don't have to
everybody in
constantly
town
control,
knows
they
where.
can actually see the.
Exactly, everybody in town knows where the officer's at typically. I mean, they wait till they go to the north side. and they
Do something on the south side, yeah, but he can view things.
But this will help, this will help.
And that 11,000, that includes the keyless entries over there, oh, it does not.
David's still working on that, we made that a priority.
I remember it went from 8,000, and then it was readjusted to this 11, correct?
On the
Originally
cameras.
quoted 8,000 or something?
That was the fitness doors, I think.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, we're still waiting on a revised quote from the lowest bidder. Telos had actually given us a price that was in the 4,000 to 5,000 range for the doors, but all that was the computer portion running it. That didn't include any of the hardware or actually installing anything that actually opened the doors or allowed the doors to be open. So that's where we thought we had a really good deal and then found out it wasn't nearly as good a deal as we thought. Right now, I'm looking, the bid that I'm expecting for the doors is somewhere between 7,000 and 10,000. I'm just waiting for the final numbers, which I should have this next week if he gets them back to me when he said he would. So.
Move to approve an agreement for services for surveillance system upgrades, Telos Online, in an amount not to exceed $11,000 pending approval of legal counsel as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call please, Sharon.
Nick Ralston,
Aye.
Spencer Bradman,
Aye.
Fred Blum,
Aye.
Larry Clark,
Aye.
Hope Morris, Harold Leggett.
Yes.
Alright. That'd be nice to get that all back online. Moving on, G, golf cart proposal. Mr. Aiken.
Well, this is a first for me. I've never in my life asked to give anybody to buy a golf cart. And it's not for me personally when I'm a golf.
For the mayor pro
I
tem.
tried to find one that matched the Mayor Pro Tem, but they did have one out there.
I'm first one out, Larry.
That's what I thought.
So, long story short, as I said in my board report, the long-time four-wheeler we've had to drag the fields is kaput. I mean, it needs a whole new engine. Mike's obviously, Mike would just go find something else. So we thought about another four-wheeler, and I thought, well, I wanna change the way we're doing the fields. That kind of bounces off Janet. Just quick on a personal level, last 5 years, my son has played club ball, we've traveled the state in all these tournaments, and every place I go, I notice they have Kubotas and Gators and golf cars, and they haul their equipment And, does everybody use them because they're convenient, they last a long time. So long story short, I went down there, I talked to Mike Kramer, I called him up. And I give you 3 examples here. I first asked him for the used ones in the back of the shop. And there's a picture of this 2015 Easy Go. Listed about 65, 69, lowered about 6,500. That was about, and that's electric. That's about as low as he could go on that one. The rest of them, he said, because I wanted a utility, not just a golf cart. It had to have a bucket in the back to hold equipment, and it had to have a hitch to tow the chain around the fields. And we also dragged the parking lot several times a year to smooth it out. Then we started talking some more, and he said, well, let me see what I can get down on a newer one, on cost comparison. So then he showed me the second one toward the front, and that's a Cushman electric, it's a 2020, and he could get that down to 9,249. I was eyeballing this black one the whole time, and finally he said, let me go look at the numbers on this black one. This one's a gas one. And after he gave me the bids, he called me up, he said, I talked to my, basically their golf cart mechanic, and he saw me in the store, he asked what was going on. And he said, you don't want the electric on the ball fields, you want to buy gas. There is a 1,200 pound towing capacity, that'll last a lot longer, it's better torque. We probably have to get 2 sets of tires. As you can see, these are pretty good all-road, off-road tires. We'll get a pair of slicks for the ball fields, and then the ball fields will probably use them. They'll probably use them about 4 months a year. And so I want to use it. Public Works the other 8 months. We use an old Easy Go now that Greg uses to read water meters, does small projects, work on parks, doing irrigation. I mean, it would be used not just for rec, but it would be an all-purpose vehicle. The dump bed on the used one, it does not flip. The 2020 electric, it does hoist flips, and so does the black one that I'm proposing. It's a little bit bigger back bucket. The tailgate comes down, and there's a lever. If you scoop a bunch of dirt or a bunch of chalk, you can actually just flip it out instead of shoveling it out, and then it locks back in place. What else? And I asked him about larger projects. Like when the season starts, Janet will have somebody go down to the ball fields and put out all the bases, get all the nets out, so on and so forth. So I asked him about a little trailer, a little 3x5 trailer. Those are pretty affordable. A new one's $350, the used one's $250. You just fasten on the hitch. You can take bigger equipment, more equipment out there if you want. Mostly thought for Public Works if they're working on changing out meters around town, working on irrigation and on the ball fields or in the parks, they can use this vehicle. And what's nice about it, they can just drive into the park. They don't have to stay on the street. So anyway, I'm trying to justify this the best I can, but I think it's a good buy. When I compare the 6,500 compared to a 5-year newer, brand new $9,000 unit with the cart behind it, I think it's worth going after a new one. Gas one, not electric. So, never done this before, but I thought a 4-wheeler just wasn't practical. I don't know if that was donated or what years ago, but it's been around forever.
So how do these compare to, say, the ones that are BMG equipment or,
I haven't priced all of those out yet. I just haven't. I know over the years, like at Harvest Daze, Harsh Sports and also Kubota, they loan us those as a promotion to advertise them. Those are a little bit more expensive than these. I mean, those are, I think, 15 to 20,000 roughly. But those are more of a farm utility vehicle. I'm looking at more of a rec. And this is a lighter train vehicle for the ball fields than one of those Kubotas would probably be. But fair question, but I haven't priced all those out.
Is this the one you're saying is the gas one?
Yeah, the first one in your packet is that black one. Well, you can't tell if it's black and white.
It's like flat.
And what's your
It's a
reason?
flat black, yes.
What's your concern? Why would you want to put slicks or like?
Just when it drags the field, we'll try it, but when it drags the field, I don't know how that drag will cover, if it'll tear, put little ruts in there or not. I don't know if it will or not.
My concern is with those slicks and you're dragging down that drag back there, you're not gonna get traction.
But the 4-wheeler I don't think was slick, and I think it will come too. But,
I was gonna say, we bought special less than knobby tires on the 4-wheeler.
Okay.
so for them to use on the ball field, so it didn't tear it up, so I don't know. I mean, we've got the knobbier tires on the older one that we've got, and we've used that, and I've never had anybody complain too loud. Of course, Gordon complained about any time we were on his ball field, but,
I was just wondering, I would save some money and just keep these
Yeah, we'll keep these
off-road
tires.
tires and, you know, necessarily need the slick tires. I would think these would be just fine
Mhm.
for the ball fields. I don't think, unless you're out there.
Unless it was too wet, I mean, when it's dry, it'll be fine, that.
Yeah, but then you have your dragging, if you did, on the back, your drag's pulling that dirt back into the pocket.
I think the drag is a 4-foot. Jan, do you remember what that new drag is we bought?
4 or 5.
4 or 5, so it's wider than the vehicle, so it should be all right.
Yeah, I would think just leaving it without those slicks on.
We'll try it first, cause that's coming up here pretty quick.
Didn't save time changing out. I mean, granted, you may have to get tires, but, save
Over
some
time.
money buying two or 4 sets.
Yeah. It could be, you know, then Rick would have their Harvest Daze golf cart to drive around and everything like that.
Now, those are the ones you have to put a governor, they'll be ripping around there. It's gonna flip your ass.
And I mentioned in my report too, just to add to that, is they do rentals, and I think the biggest one they mentioned Cheyenne Frontier, they sent up 150 golf carts to them for Cheyenne Frontier Days. So I've already sent, her name is JC, I believe her name is, the sales rep about Harvest Days, the dates. And they have 2 and 4 seaters. So I've asked for a couple of 2-seaters, a couple of 4-seaters. Like for the parade, they always want a 4-seater. We'll give one to the mayor so she can haul around dignitaries during Harvest Days. Or at least her kids are doing it.
Make it rock.
But they're pretty affordable. I mean, they seem like a pretty good company. I haven't heard really. They're just down in Frederick, right off I-25 Tacoma exit. They're in that, right behind that McDonald's area, but they actually face I-25 from the west side facing east. So, Larry, you got any comments?
I had a great experience doing business with my light golf carts.
Is that where you bought yours?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. So you know Mike?
I do.
Good.
And we have done business with them in the past, purchasing miscellaneous pieces, parts, new tires, that kind of stuff for our other existing.
What funds are we taking this out of?
Well, the rec has a fund that I don't wanna use up, is 10,000 for ball field maintenance. This was not budgeted. I did budget 25,000 at a contingency, so that's probably taking out contingency. We probably take out capital improvement, but at the end of the day, we probably won't use all of that fund. So, I don't have a specific line item, but right now, I'm gonna take out a contingency until we see
Public Works.
how the year goes.
Man, contingency in January, balls. I move to approve golf cart for the Cushman hauler 1200X gas engine vehicle with trailer as presented.
I have a motion and a second, roll call please, Mary.
Spencer Bradnan.
Aye.
Herb Blum.
Aye.
Larry Clark.
Aye.
Hope Morris. Yes. Harold Leggett.
Yes.
Nick Ralston.
Aye.
I don't know if you wanted that for your time you had to go.
I may use that for the Platteville golf. Just kidding.
Put the trailer on with a bag in it.
The chief and I need a sprucey ride down there.
Very good. There you go. No tickets on 85, no. All right, moving on to reports. Mrs. Torres.
So you have, my report. Sorry, I'm still at senior dinner. You have my report. December I thought was gonna be a quiet month, but we actually did quite a bit with the seniors in December and getting stuff ready with basketball. NVAA has been talking about, that's the league that we participate in for volleyball, basketball, soccer. That's the 3 we do in that league. Changing the start of basketball, because right now they register for basketball, have 2 weeks of practice, play 3 weeks of games, take 2 weeks off, come back, practice for a week, and then play 3 weeks of games. And it's just a really odd, broken up season. And the NBA league is the only league in this area that does that. Every other league waits and starts until after the first of the year. So they have been talking about changing that, so that would be a big transition for people coming up in 2020. I definitely support that, but it would mean that our kindergarten through second grade league would transition and it would play first. It would play end of October through December. And then it would be completely done before we started the older kids league. It makes a lot of sense. We may consider transitioning and playing with Fort Lupton in their kindergarten through second grade league, because if Evans keeps theirs late, it's just, practice-wise, it makes it really hard to have enough gym time for everyone. So that's just something to keep in the back of your mind and know that that could be coming up. They'll make a decision probably in March on whether or not to do that for 2020. Volleyball, soccer, and girls fast pitch softball are all registering right now. I gave you the deadlines for all 3 of those events. Basically, we do the deadline and then do a 1-week late registration period so that it still gives us 2 weeks prior to the start of the season to get everything done and ready. In theory, it works good, but I think everyone just knows that there's that 1 week and they just wait to sign up. They push it and wait. So for volleyball, it's looking really good. I already have had 3 coaches commit to sign up for that, to do that, and they are returning coaches from previous years, so that's always good. Soccer, I have 1 coach. Soccer registration is coming in kind of slow, which is surprising to me with the demographics of this community. I would have thought soccer would have been a much bigger participated in sports, but I'm sure again that it's just people are getting over Christmas, finances, and getting back into the swing of things. Girls Fast Pitch registers, its registration date closes the last. It's the last one to close of these 3. So I expect those will be the last ones to come in. I am anticipating to have an 8 and under, 10 and under, and 12 and under team. The 14 and under team that we had last year, half of the team would have to transition up to 18s and the other half could stay at 14. I don't know if they'll play. Putting 14-year-olds in an 18-year-old division is a big jump, and it's more games, and it's just, when I talked to the coach about it, she wasn't sure, but I would definitely venture a guess we'll have the 3 teams for 8 and under, 10 and under, and 12 and under. Baseball, t-ball, and coach pitch registration will come out in February, and we'll start registering for that. My hope was to have the online registration in place for that so that we would transition into that at that time, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, just because there are too many questions of trying to get the online program to piece together with the general ledger software that we have, the accounting software, and we just want it to be a smooth transition for that. So biking time, I just heard back from Amy at the elementary school, and we'll be having 4 new classes coming out for February and March, plus a movie at the elementary school. So this Thursday, at the elementary school, packets go out on folders go out on Thursday. So we'll be sending that home with them on Thursday. Tia also said she would get information out for the sports programs to the kids. And then I'll also take stuff over to Gilcrest Elementary as well. The seniors, again, have been busy. Poor Carl, David, and the 2 officers that came, I thought they were gonna smother them tonight. They were just like all over them, getting their drinks, making sure they had everything that they needed. So,
They were excellent.
So next month, our potluck meal will be on Fat Tuesday, and so we're gonna have a little Mardi Gras celebration, which you have to know, they asked if they needed to bring beads and what they had to do to get someone else's beads, and yeah.
Crazy.
They're gonna be applying for a special event.
Yeah, I don't think we offer those type of special events, permits. We went to Black Hawk in January. We are starting to do one field trip a month is just going someplace for breakfast. So we went to Lucille's in January. That was pretty popular. If you've never been to Lucille's, I definitely recommend that. And then we went to Mod Pizza and New Belgium Brewery. I was impressed. They all tried a sour beer and did it the way that, they tell you how to try it. Because most people, when you try a sour beer, one drink and you'll be like, but if you do it the way they tell you to, it grows on you and you may like it, or you may not. The best part, I have to tell you the story of our New Belgium. So my whole point in taking them there was for them to see that the culture of the workplace at New Belgium is not the same as Coors or Budweiser. It's definitely a much different culture. And so the girl that did our tour was super high energy and loud, so they could all hear her, and I mean they loved her. And so she was telling them that after you've worked at New Belgium for 1 year, the owners of the company buy you a bicycle, and it's not just a Schwinn bike, it's this custom made bike. It's a big deal. And she goes, my bike comes in on March 18th. And then she says, do you want to see my bike? And so we're in a group with like 12 other people, and everyone says, oh yeah. Well, she shows the picture to Lorene Weber first. And if you don't know Lorene Weber, her response was, oh, I'm so excited for you. That is beautiful. And the girl's eyes like lit up. She goes, finally, someone's as excited as I am about my bike. And so then the rest of the group is like, oh yeah, great job. So, they were pretty impressed when she's telling them that they get the bike at 1 year. At 5 years, they get a all expense paid trip to Belgium. Wow. At 10 years, they get a 4-week sabbatical. So I mean, they were all just like, holy cow, So it was a good experience. We are going this week to the National Western Stock Show, and next week we are going to NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration offices in Boulder, and we're also going to a Valley High School boys basketball game. Lunch numbers are kind of fluctuating. We've had a lot of sickness and injuries in the last 2 weeks. One of the seniors missed the curb coming out of church and fell, shattered her wrist, took out half of her face. So the numbers for lunch have been lower than normal, but still a good group. Our cooking and knitting group is crocheting and knitting items for the orphaned animals in Australia. So if you know of anyone who wants to participate in that, we have yarn, and we'll just send it. There's a place that we send it to in Arizona, and then they ship everything down. So we don't have the expense of mailing stuff to Australia. So, but other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
You've got an RFP for shirts?
Oh, shirt RFP is out. I got one back so far from Gojo Sports, and then I've had questions come back from the other people. So hopefully, we're hoping to have at least 4 proposals come back, and they'll provide the shirts for the whole year. My goal with that was for them to hopefully, if we offered someone providing the shirts for the entire season, for an entire year, could you give us a better break on the price than when we just go to someone for one season sports? So it's kind of hit and miss. with the economy the way it is, and it's a catch-22 when the economy is really good, sometimes people aren't really hungry for business, so, I don't know. The one proposal that we've gotten back so far was a good proposal. And then finally, the one thing I did forget to mention was, I put in my report the information on the senior coordinator's job posting. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that. It was disappointing to see the applications that came in. We definitely had an interesting interview with one of the candidates. But after talking to Troy, I feel like the seniors have really had enough change in the last 6 months, and I guess maybe part of it is selfish on my part. I enjoy working with them. I enjoy working with the kids too, but right now it seems like it's an easier fit to find someone who could help on the recreation side versus helping with the seniors, and it's one less change that they would have to go through. So, the person that we're looking at has experience working for the town of Platteville. She worked for Reggie and Gordon. She has great work ethic. She works for me now doing the adult volleyball and then also the youth sports games on the weekends. She's got good attention to detail. I think she would be an asset to move into the position, and for right now, when the position needs to still be a part-time position, she's not looking for full-time work, so that makes it nice. That was one of the big questions with the 2 candidates that we did interview, is they were like, how long will this be part-time? Because they needed it to be full-time. They needed benefits. They needed those aspects of it, so having a candidate who doesn't necessarily need that is nice right now, who is happy with it only being 25 hours a week.
It'll be full-time when the baseball, the big seasons are coming up.
Right.
Okay.
And in the summer, when it's busier, I could see us bumping up the hours, making it seasonal for the hour increase, not a permanent full-time position.
So she's okay with bumping up full-time?
For the summer, when she's not in school.
She also goes to college.
Oh.
All right, any other questions from Mrs. Torres? Thank you. All right, moving on to Chief Dwyer.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. I don't have a lot. It's relatively slow at the end of the year here, and the beginning of the year. Nothing really to add than what I already have written down. I can answer any questions.
Any questions? Fantastic, thank you. Moving on to Mr. Brand.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor. I'm gonna follow suit, I won't say ditto, but almost. I really don't have a lot to add. I appreciate that the board approved the work here at Town Hall. We did get that done over the last couple of days, so be cautious as you pull out. There are a couple of new big concrete blocks that would probably leave quite the pinstripe if you don't.
Are we gonna put reflecting tape on that, or?
The toppers, we did pick up both the blocks and the toppers today. The toppers are in the shop. We're gonna put a safety yellow and then reflection on those. So those will be out there over the next couple of days. So for now, we're leaving the cones around them, and we did put a 360, it's a small little 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch yellow dowel that has safety, a 6-inch safety stripe that's reflective all the way around on it at each one of the blocks that are out there. So hopefully that will give us enough sight that people will be able to see it and realize that the entrance is a little bit narrower now.
You know, the cones back there, like parking, you know,
huge line of cones.
We've got the huge line of cones out there right now just to delineate where that's at. While the ground is frozen, it's a little tough to put the T-posts in or another type of post to just kind of indicate. So for now, until we get people used to that they don't need to go beyond that, we're gonna leave the cones there, Spencer, but I do plan on either putting some kind of a reflective post or a T-post or something in there just to still indicate where we need to take the snow removal past for the drainage part, but where the parking. And the new entrance, the 36 feet that we did right there to be at the, and then it narrows down to a 30-foot roadway. That's mimicking what we have initially kind of laid out with the idea of the police department moving with a new building over there in the next few years. So we're starting to kind of break everybody, mostly the police department and public works and the administration staff, into this is how wide this really is supposed to be.
Are you sure that's 36 foot?
Yes, ma'am.
Holy Toledo.
Well, you're so used to 120 feet.
Yeah. So, I had narrowed it down to 30 and the town manager overrode that decision and we took it back out to 36.
It was a little too narrow after we added another 6 feet to that.
But, so we do appreciate that. I really don't, other than the fact that we have had, in the 15 years that Todd has been here, the 11 years that I've been here, we have never had 4 full-body funerals 4 days in a row consecutively. So now we can't say that anymore because we just finished. We had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday last week, and Monday this week. And then we've got another cremation tomorrow. So it's been extremely busy. That's 3/4 of what we've done over the last 6 months has happened there. So don't have anything new to report with Grosswind just yet. Should have something towards the end of this month or middle of February. So any other questions? I'd be happy to attempt to answer them.
Any other questions, comments, concerns this read? All right, thank you, David. Moving on to Mr. Lincoln.
Well, I'll try to follow suit. I'm working on that multimodal options fund grant. That's taking a little more time than anticipated. The grant itself is short, but they have a dozen attachments, which all require a lot of information. So I'm working on that. Economic development plan, the last drink committee meeting was last Thursday here in this room. Small turnout, there's other meetings going on, other conflicts. So in less than 2 weeks on Saturday, February 1st, at the community center, we'll have the last community at 10 a.m. We'll have, I'll send out Everbridge message, we'll get it on the website and next door as well. At 10 a.m. be the last community meeting to allow the community to review the draft plan, the economic development plan. And immediately following that meeting, Cheryl Trent, our consultant, wants to ask those in attendance who would be interested in continuing on a economic development steering committee that would meet probably quarterly, because this needs to be a working plan, it needs to evolve. Part of the brochure that is going along with the plan is a marketing brochure where properties change, they sell, they become available, we need to update that on a quarterly basis and work on maybe some incentives for attracting new business, retaining current businesses. So,
How about a community pancake breakfast steering? We get more people.
I know somebody who's gonna make some pancakes that morning.
Yeah, is that already on the docket?
That's your meal, is breakfast pancakes.
Nice.
And B&G, I talked to B&G. I know. I'm spoiled. Earlier today, I received, as Tom Mary received this email from Meg Andrews at the PTO. And last November, the town gives donations to the school. This was for the chili bingo and their carnival and so on and so forth. What Meg is asking is, I'm not gonna put this as an action item, they just want $50 to $75 in gifts like footballs, basketball, outdoor games for prizes. So I wanna let the board know, we're not putting this on the agenda, I'm just gonna go buy some stuff for them. And, probably take out the rec department. just so Janet knows. I do that to David Cole all the time.
Welcome to Platteville, Janet.
Well, at least you could let me buy it.
We'll talk about it. Where's the initiation?
We'll talk about it. But yeah, we'll chat tomorrow, you go buy some stuff. The last thing is you have your budget books, if I'm on the table for you. If you don't want them, please turn them back in, I'll recycle them, but in just the budget overview, the first tab is my message that's required for the budget every year to the board. It has the members of the planning commission, board of adjustments, board of trustees, library board, and the management staff. Budget committee profile, there's some interesting statistics for you to look at. It has our fund structure and our budget structure. Those have been amended, thanks to Mary, she adjusted those for me. Then all the resolutions. So this is what, if a citizen asks, this is what formalizes our budget. This is what makes it legal. Next tab is your budget text. I've modified this. It outlines every fund in the budget, and it specifies what those funds can be used for. Mission statements included, the services, and then goals are updated for every year. There's a copy of your budget in totality. As of today, in the next tab, I've updated the capital improvement plan. And this is a good resource. We'll put all this information on our website later this week. I'll work with Mary. And the capital improvement plan there's a full explanation of how the plan started back in 2009. And it's not just a capital improvement fund, it's a plan. So all the special revenues, like use tax, water sewer enterprise funds, they can purchase capital projects or build capital projects or equipment. So the plan involves all capital expenditures. And the last 9 years, since we've adopted this plan, we've spent over $10 million on capital projects. Much of that came out of the capital improvement plan. And then in mine, I keep the latest financials, just in mine, this how I do it. So I wanted to just summarize those books for you. They're a good resource. I'd hold on to them. And then that way, if you have a question on, why we budget this or where's this money coming from, I know Adrian looks at it once in a while, then you have a good idea. Yeah, you got it all memorized. So but I'll finish with that, other than go Chiefs. Sorry, that's it. Hey, Del.
That's on the record.
All right.
Well, they deserve one once every 50 years.
Larry's always told me in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. So I guess,
Yeah, it's true. We like to.
And I heard Tom Brady's talking to the owner of the Raiders, so I don't know, we'll see.
Oh, no way.
Oh, man. Anyway, Mary, sorry.
Do we have any updates from the committees?
Yes. The Parks, Trails, and Trees Committee met last Tuesday in this room. The only thing that was voted on was a request that, I come to the board and ask that all or a percentage of the dog tag fee, right, would be put into the dog park revitalization, like a continuing fund to do projects there is what we're really hoping to do. And we were also, Larry's Hatcher's been spearheading the finishing of the mulch on the west side of the dog park. Jason gave that $1,000 that he had raised for the dog park, so we kind of thought maybe we could use that, along with a little bit of other funds. Larry, did you get a hard number on the mulch cost?
With a lot of donated labor, it's probably, depending on when we get the mulch for, $1,500.
That's the most
With
between the
labor
dog park
fee.
and that fence.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd rather see it used as something inside the dog park.
I don't disagree with either one. At that mulch, it does look like crap, and it would, it appease the whole look of the dog park would benefit from it being redone, but I don't disagree with that point either, Mr. Paul. But that was the committee's request, that they come and ask that if we could maybe get the funds from the dog tags to be like a perpetual care for the dog park to go towards any project. And then if we could potentially use the funds maybe from our budget, along with that $1,000 that Jason, had donated to do this mulch in the west side of the dog park.
Go along that west fence.
Yes.
Will we add that to, as a discussion item for the next meeting?
Yeah, Mary?
That would be along that 10-foot or 8-foot fence that's there, then the chain link fence to the dog park, that little alleyway.
Right.
Put it on there.
About 15.
We concerned about the wind. I know that wood fence kind of blocks the wind from blowing it into the pea gravel. It's already out there.
Hasn't been happening so far with the old mulch that's there.
I think it'd be all right.
Okay.
We
I figure, I mean, with that, I just didn't wanna get it mixed in with the pea gravel, because that's nice for the dogs to.
Yeah,
run
what's
on.
it, if I can interject, what's happened in the past, pretty big chunks of bark or wood, and it really hasn't blown very much, it just, rotted away and it just isn't very thick and it's kinda uneven underneath.
Okay.
So if you replace it with kinda what
Just
is
want
there.
more of a weed barrier for it than to
Yeah,
keep the weeds down there.
yeah, that needs to be replaced. But it hasn't been a problem, but,
Okay.
So that was one of the calls to action. Some of the other things that we're working on is maybe like a fledgling cleanup program, street cleanup. So we have a couple people that were certified to give training sessions to people to go out and pick up trash on a couple of days, quarterly type of events. I wanted to find, I'm tasked with finding out the, legal liability standpoint that the town would have to, what that would look like if it was a town, or a parks, trails and trees kind of led event.
We have waivers from the insurance company that you can, something that, what, $5 for volunteers or, yeah.
You already have that information?
Okay. Yeah, cause we'll have community service people, we'll have college kids that need to get community service hours, and it's a $5 fee, and they get it's basically temporary insurance waiver coverage.
Okay.
Yep.
Would we charge volunteers that are gonna clean up our roads a $5 fee?
$2.50, we can negotiate. No, just- Probably not, honestly.
Okay.
Probably not.
Alright, so we can drive forward with maybe putting together some sort of event like that then, here, with that knowledge. Okay, that's great, thank you. We're still looking at trying to find a design grant for the, open space. Is that still on track? As far as your end goes?
The grant for the application for the splash pad, you mean?
No, so this is a design grant for the
Trail system.
The trail system, yes, based on the land of LG Everest is gonna dedicate later on this spring, right? Okay, so we are gonna try to nail down what specific grant, whether it be with GOCO or Colorado Parks and Wildlife or another source who will be the design grantor, and then most of them aren't due towards the end of the year, so we have some time.
Yeah, the CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, that's a late year grant, I think.
Yeah.
DOLA is probably October, I'm guessing.
Okay, DOLA would be a potential option for that?
They have funding for river trail designs. Yep.
Thank you. I need to get the 501c3 number, if we have that, so that our committee members can use that, leverage that, to try to get donations. Is there anything else I'm missing, Larry? Oh, the tree sale. So we're trying, I don't know what's gonna happen, we're still fighting to try to get a tree sale, in the spring to offer some trees to residents at a reduced rate. Longmont has a similar program that's funded by a grant from the Poudre Power Authority. I reached out to Excel Energy, trying to see if they had anything similar that Platteville could utilize. And I did get an email back from a regional manager that there is a grant program available, and he's going to put Platteville in the hat for that grant program.
Oh, great.
And Mary also put me in touch with a gentleman from Windsor who runs a similar program, so there's still hope that maybe we can find some sort of grant that we can offer trees at a reduced rate to our citizens.
Two things real quick, not to interrupt.
Please.
On the tree sale, can we maybe coordinate that with Arbor Day that month, and that would kind of be a theme? Cause I don't know if the parks, trails, and trees would be part of Arbor Day again, I'd like it to be.
That's the plan, we talked about it.
Perfect. And then going back to the river trail, I just thought of this, but whether it be the dog park or the river trail, Home Depot has a program where they'll give up to, I think, $10,000 worth of material for different park projects. I know they do a lot of school support, but they may do a community project if it's something like that, if you want to improve the dog park or maybe eventually a park in the area by the river that we get. Just FYI.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And if you could pass on in conjunction with Arbor Day, the art teacher at the school is wrapping up the poster contest and would like to do judging on March 13th. If there are any Parks, Trails, and Trees members that would like to be part of that, that'd be great.
March 13th, perfect.
Yes.
I'll get some contact info for you later on for that, no problem. We're going to have our next meeting, we're going to try to recruit like 10 or so youth. And we have a couple different designs for the playground at Lincoln Park. We're going to show them the different designs, what do they like about this one, what don't they like, what do they like about the other one, and try to nail down some of the design componentry, some community input, I guess. So that's going to happen before the actual meeting happens on the 11th next month. Other than that, we just wanted to remind the Public Works Department that we have those trash cans put on Main Street. Do you guys have a second? I know you're busy. And then it looks like Larry has something.
Farmer's market, that's what, you mentioned that?
I didn't know. We're still trying to do that. I got my wind taken out of my sails by the local farms when I called them to see if they wanted to participate in it. But the rest of the committee still has hope, and we're going to try to put a flyer together and solicit vendors for maybe a handful of dates in the late summer, fall for a farmer's market.
Okay.
So do you guys know anybody that might be interested?
Yeah, my daughter-in-law's father maybe. So, Eckhart Farms up there by Peckham. Does everything.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you still doing a recruitment night on the 6th of
No, we're not. We were,
Okay.
I'm sorry, we're gonna cancel that. We were gonna ask if the manager's message could include, something about how the Parks, Trails, and Trees Committee is looking for new members. Give us a shout out.
For the next month. I'm singing an Everbridge message on Thursday, I'll do it with that as well. I'll just mention both youth and Parks, Trails, and Trees to be fair.
Yeah.
Always looking for new members.
Yep, if you wanna highlight a couple of things we're trying to work on this year.
I came in here last week after your meeting, I saw your agenda. That's longer than any board meeting agenda I've ever seen. But I didn't keep one, so if I could get a copy of that or shoot me an email, just so I get it correct, that'd be great. It's on the website, thank you, Mary, I'll grab one. Am I supposed to whisper back?
Try not to embarrass you.
And the next youth committee meeting is the 28th, correct?
Yeah, we'll meet here 28th at 6:30. And, we're gonna be going, and I'm not sure if Jess reminded me getting here today, but, we're trying to nail down delegating, scheduling for events, vendors, entertainment through the summer, food trucks, whatnot. For our special events through the summertime, movie in the park, things like that. So I don't know if she'd sent anything out to you tonight. We'll get together here after the meeting and kind of give you an idea of what our itinerary is gonna be. But, so next Tuesday here at 6:30, we'll go from there. And we'll get you a price list.
Price list?
A funds requested list.
Yeah, funds requested.
The interesting part about that, Mayor, is we budgeted the funds to be received from that new tower, which has never responded back to me. So, I'm really hoping that this 1% sales tax economic development park amenities go through. It could help even with what you're talking about, and technically what you're talking about, it involves a park.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the dog licenses, that's like $1,500 a year, so it's not a whole lot.
Right, but it would be something
It
that
would be something.
we could count on
They
to.
probably wouldn't blow our budget if we gave that to the dog park every year. So,
Yeah, definitely have that as a discussion item. Good board.
okay.
Okay, anything else before the board? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.